Glasses are on, hair's tied back. You must be making soap. In my opinion, the absolute most stupid thing you could do while making soap is not wearing glasses. Because in reality, these aren't very annoying. They don't get in the way. If you don't have them, you get lye in your eyeballs. That's it. No more eyeballs. Well, you'll still have your eyeballs, I would imagine. But you're not going to be able to see out of them, so what's the point? So, if you're going to make soap with lye, which the only other kind is melt and pour, and I mean, that's fun for certain things, but if you want to make real handmade soap, at least put glasses on. I've had people ask me why I don't wear long sleeve shirts. For me, long sleeve shirts are more of a hazard than they are a precaution because I'm extraordinarily clumsy. So when I'm making soaps, I'm moving things around. When I have long sleeve shirts on, for whatever reason, I just can't help but getting them caught in things. And then they dump things over, and if they accidentally one day dumped over my lye water, I mean, that's because I don't have my own studio, not yet. We're still building a house. So I'm in my kitchen, and dumping lye water all over the kitchen's not ideal, especially when you don't own the kitchen. Really don't think that our renters are gonna appreciate lye burns just everywhere. So wear your glasses. Definitely pull your hair at least mostly back, because you know what's really disgusting? If someone's using your soap and they get a hair in it. That's nasty, okay? So glasses, hair back. You do not want hairy soap. You just don't. It's disgusting. Okay, so while my lye water is coming to temperature and my oils are already measured out, I'm going to go ahead and measure out my fragrance oil. And can I just say, veer off topic a little bit, at how happy I am that Georgia won their first game. Oh my goodness. Who wakes up in the morning and is like, hey, I think we should probably play Clemson first. And then whoever decided that, and proceeded to agree. Yeah, that's a great idea. Clemson for our first game, yeah. Wow. It's okay though. We pulled it off. And when the rankings come out this week, there is a possibility that we will be number, which in a world where teams like Alabama exist and dominate the number one spot, number two, it's really not that bad, because we have tried to take number one from Alabama, and well, if you watch football, you remember how that went. So if we're starting off moving up to number two, I will take it. Okay, so no matter what kind of soap you're making, food scale will be your best friend. It really will. There we go. This one, I will say, it's kind of a little annoying because it always goes back to ounces, and I really like to measure in grams. Just a little bit more specific. I like to get my fragrance, most of them, from Wholesale Supplies Plus. I feel like they have the biggest sizes for the best price, and their shipping is not like astronomical either. So that's usually where I get my fragrances, but there are a couple times where, like, I think it's Nature's Garden has sales, and I will grab some of their sample sales wherever you can get it on sale, because sometimes this can add up quick. Just make sure that it is skin safe. It's meant for soap. It's meant for doing things like this. You can't just go to Walmart, get some fragrance and throw in soap, give it to someone, and expect them not to have some sort of weird reaction to it. And once they do have a weird reaction to it, they are never going to buy your soap again. So it really, in the end, costs you more money to go cheap with your fragrance oils than it would to just get something that's meant for this purpose. And I have used this before. I used this last year around this time of year, and it smells, oh my goodness, like downright edible. I absolutely love it, and it sold really well last year. I made it into a scrub bar again last year, as well as I am doing this year. Just because it did so well, might as well do it again. And I personally loved it. I kept one bar from last year, and I haven't used it yet just because it was my favorite, and I don't want to get rid of it. So now I will finally be able to use that soap bar, and I'll be extremely happy with it. It is important to get the right amount, because you want it to smell strong, but you don't want too much fragrance oil in there. You'll start to separate. The soap will go all weird. It's just gross. So there is a happy medium. Okay, we have cooled lye. Oils are all blended and mixed together. Now, put them together. And please, by no means should you think that I am a teacher of making soap. Nothing like that. I am not an expert. I have not been doing this for years and years and years. The person that I really enjoy watching, who taught me a lot of really good safety tips and soap tips, is Royalty Soaps. She's really good at making soap, and she's been making it since she says she hasn't been making it since she was 8. Okay. But she's very, very good. She knows what she's doing, and she knows how to teach it. And she knows how to teach it in a way where you're like, I can do this. You're like encouraged. If I were to teach you, you'd be like, I am confused. So maybe once I've had her, give me my spoon, her kind of experience. I mean, she's been doing this for a long time. This is what, like, when we all had jobs in high school, like waiting tables and fast food, she was making soap. Okay, so it's not like she's 100 years old, but she has been doing this for her whole life. Like, this is what she does. So it's Royalty Soaps, and that is where I have learned a good amount of information, such as this spoon. This is only for lye. Learned that from her channel. She would probably not be super impressed that I'm not wearing long sleeves, but like I was saying, it's just not very smart for me to do that, so I do not. Alrighty, So we have our lye mixed with our oil, and now it is time to blend. I use handy dandy stick blender, and I love it. One thing that's always good to keep in mind when you're making soap is sometimes it reaches trace, which is fancy word for saying it's done. Sometimes it gets to that point really quick. It has a lot to do with the temperature of your lye and how much water you use. Also has to do with the types of oils you're using, whether they're hard oils like coconut oil in the winter and olive oil. You know, if you're sitting here and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for my whole life, don't fear, just keep going. Or there are times when I have been just forever, and sometimes I just throw it in the mold and hope for the best, because it's like I can't spend my entire 30s, which I'm not even there yet, and I'm gonna spend all of it doing so. The longer you do it, the more you do it, the more you'll realize what it's supposed to look like, that sort of thing. It really does take experience. Don't expect for your first few soaps to turn out wonderfully. Mine did not. They were ugly. Oh my goodness gracious. I gave them away to my family and they were safe to use, but my word, they were ugly. They were squatty. I don't know how they got so short. But just, it's something you gotta learn and fix your mistakes as you go. It is not gonna turn out perfect right away. It's just not. Nothing really ever does. I mean, what happens that is perfect right off the bat? Nothing. So making soap, it's the same thing. You're gonna have to get at least a couple batches under your belt before you're actually like, oh, that looks nice and it performs well and it's soapy and sudsy and nice and hard too. You don't want a mush soap. So it takes experience, and I'm still getting experience. I still don't know 100% of every single thing that there is to know in soap. That's why I'm referring other soap channels so you can go learn from the masters while I am doing the same, learning from the masters. So just know it takes time, it takes patience, and sometimes it is frustrating. Eventually though, it will start to look nice and pretty. It starts to stick to your stick blender. That's when you know it's getting a little bit thicker. This still needs some good stirring, but it's coming along. If I can say one thing, another learn from my mistakes sort of thing, invest in a good stick blender. The one I have, it works great. It came with a lot of accessories, and I feel bad, but I don't want to tell you what kind it is because the company was actually really fabulous. And when I wrote them a review, when I first started using it, they sent me more accessories for this thing. So I have just a ton of accessories for this thing that they just sent me out of their own generosity. With that said, it shakes pretty bad, and you get some good bubbles. So once I've got my soap poured into the mold, I pound the doo-doo out of that thing, trying to make sure that the bubbles are out. And sometimes, like, I'll cut into a bar of soap and it's just bubbles, and that doesn't look good. So this is more important than you may think. When it shakes around like mine tends to, like if I hold it with two hands, then it's a little bit better. But when it shakes around like that, it just pushes air into your soap, and your soap's thick. So the air isn't just gonna leave, it's stuck in there until you try to pound the doo-doo out of it and hope for the best. So learn from my mistake. I know when you're starting up either a new hobby or you want to do this as a business venture, it's kind of hard and scary to spend money, especially when you're just starting, you're not making money yet. This is worth it. I wouldn't spend like, there's some $600 out there. I would not do that. But I would spend maybe more than like, I don't know, like 20 to 60, somewhere in there. I don't remember how much I spent for this one. I feel like it was around 30, but maybe above 30. Try that range and go for a name brand. I usually don't say that, but this is an off-brand one. Company's great, quality's not. So maybe go for like, I don't know, Cuisinart, something like that, where it's a trusted brand. Because getting all the bubbles out of there, it's not very fun. And thank God we're on a bottom floor apartment, but if not, my downstairs neighbors had to hear me whacking the soap all the time. Not like it actually looks like that, because then you just fling it all over the place. But if my neighbors had to hear me downstairs, just, you'd probably get kicked out. So worth it. This is what I was talking about for trace. Like now it's nice and thick, and it's telling me that it's just about ready to be put into a mold. Oh y'all, this looks so good. I am so excited. I have been waiting for this soap to come back since last year. Like I said, I've had this Gingersnap bar in my closet literally from California to South Carolina, because I made it in California. I brought it with me to South Carolina. That's how much I like it. One bar soap. Moved it across the world. Yeah. Maybe that's crazy. I don't know. Just like, it smells so good. And it's absolutely got just the perfect amount of scrub in there so that you can use it everywhere. And it's not like too rough for your face or not rough enough for your legs. Like I know before I shave, for me, sometimes the hardest part is like taking the step and pouring it into the mold and deciding it's done. So I'm like, what if I wanted to do something else to it? What if this? What if that? What if it's not stirred enough? One thing to make sure you do is to make sure you keep all of your soap kitchen gadgets and your just regular food kitchen gadgets separate. You do not want to be eating lye residue. You really don't want to be eating soap residue, because hello, that tastes terrible. So you really don't have to have tons of fancy things. I'm just scraping this off. Hold on. Something, I think, just exploded in the trash can. I have no idea what that was. But you know when you're home alone and like every single weird noise is a real weird noise, and you're like, oh, that's definitely a robber. Even though it's 3:19 and it's bright and sunny outside, I'm sure I'm getting robbed. It happens. No one likes hearing weird noises in their house, you know? because I know for a fact I walked the dogs for a very long time today, so they would sleep the whole time I'm doing this. So I know that it's not them. I know my husband's at work. I know that the trash can's over there and it should be quiet. So when everything that you know is not everything that's happening, leaves you feeling mildly unnerved. And I know it's not my next door neighbors being loud, because it's one little old lady. And there's no way that she's being loud enough for me to hear it in my kitchen. Also, if you guys are wondering, my shoulder, it's getting healed up now. My black eye, I don't think you can see it anymore. It's mostly gone. The scratches, the bruises, the bumps. I still have one on my leg that is just gnarly. But other than that, I am at the beginning stages of not looking like I was just in a bar fight and lost, which turns out that's kind of a good thing. So, and if you want to know what happened, you can go watch my last YouTube video. It's nice and sappy, and it will explain. The title of it is literally what happened to your face, so it should not be hard to find it. Yeah. Thankfully, I'm on the other end of that. It's not fun. And it is not very fun as a woman. I don't know if it's the same way for guys, but as a woman walking around with a black eye with a husband, everywhere you go, you just feel like everyone's like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Especially in the South. Because, I mean, we're just dying for some drama down here. So, when they see me, black eye, Roger, my husband, he's all big, and they're just like, oh my gosh. Look what he did to her. It's not the case. Go watch the video. I am not gonna go over it twice. I'm going to pour this soap and then head off to the gym. And then my day is pretty much done. Gym, eat some food, take a shower, walk the dogs. I'll walk the dogs several times in between that time. But yeah, my day's pretty much done. Make some soap, go to the gym, eat some food. You cannot complain about that schedule. So, I hope y'all have absolutely just as wonderful of a day as I am having. And I hope you are maybe inspired one day to make some soap or do some research, do some digging, figure out how to make it. It really is fun, even if you just make it for yourself. It's fun, and it's way better quality than any soap that you're going to buy in the store. So, go get yourself a mold and some oil and some lye and everything else that you need. It's kind of a lot of stuff you need, but make yourself some soap. And it's very fun, kind of addicting. Once you make your first a loaf of soap, you'll kind of be hooked. And once you use it, then you'll really be hooked, because you'll be like, oh my goodness, this is way, way better than any soap that I've ever used. My hands aren't all dry. What? So, do some digging. Definitely don't just make soap based off of my video, because I did not give you enough information in this video to do it on your own. So, and that was not the point. That was just make soap with me and maybe get inspired to learn how to do it on your own. So, if you feel so inclined, please subscribe, because it really, really helps the thing that we are all so concerned about, which would be the algorithms. Really helps me out, and I'm just little now, so if you subscribe, then someone else will subscribe, and someone else will subscribe, and then you can be that person that's like, yeah, I was subscribed before she was famous. And you want to be like that, so subscribe. And I will see y'all later. I have lots of soap to make for this holiday season. This is the time when people buy it the most because it smells the best. It smells like memories and Christmas and just the best things ever. So I will be back in not too long. Basically, once I get these molds emptied out and I can refill them with more soap. And we can do this all over again. Bye!